Princess Leonor's historic 2025 speech, Royal Duties with King Felipe and Queen Letizia crown sparkles. A royal stage, a nation watching, everyone expected tradition, but something unexpected happened. Princess Leonor didn't just speak. She transformed her role, not the future queen someday, a leader now. In 2025, Spain witnessed more than a ceremonial moment. It experienced a revelation. Princess Leonor, heir to the Spanish throne, stood before her people not just as the future queen, but as a young woman ready to serve her country with purpose, maturity, and conviction. And beside her were two figures who have shaped her life not only as royalty but as parents watching history unfold. King Felipe VI, steady and stoic. Queen Letizia, composed, proud, and deeply emotional beneath the surface. This moment wasn't just symbolic. It was personal. Leonor's speech was expected to be respectful, traditional, and brief. Instead, it evolved into something bigger, something memorable, something transformative, and anchored in the heart of her family and her duty. Before she spoke, the hall was filled with whispers, anticipation, and the unique stillness that comes before living history. She stepped forward in a suit tailored with authority, a quiet echo of her father's style, but softened with touches of her mother's elegance. She stood straight, but not rigid. Confident, but not proud. And when she looked to King Felipe and Queen Letizia, something subtle but powerful passed between them. A look of trust. A look of transition. The cameras captured it, but only those closest understood it. This was not just a speech, it was the passing of invisible weight. Leonor began. Her voice was clear, powered by months of training at the military academies, shaped by discipline but carrying warmth. She spoke about education, about commitment to democratic values, about unity in diversity. Spain is not one identity, it is many identities held together by shared hope. From Catalonia to Galicia, from the Canary Islands to Madrid, she emphasized that her duty was not to reign over people, but to serve them. And this shifted everything, because for centuries, monarchs defined themselves through power. Leonor defined herself through service. She chose responsibility, not privilege. She chose connection, not hierarchy. She chose to speak not only as future queen, but as someone who wants to understand her people. But how did she reach this level of clarity at such a young age? That question brings us deeper into her upbringing. King Felipe and Queen Letizia didn't raise a symbol. They raised a servant of Spain. When Leonor was a child, she was not shielded from reality. She was taught about the Constitution, the history of parliamentary monarchy, the complexities of coexistence. She was reminded that titles mean nothing without purpose. King Felipe, with his measured guidance, instilled respect for institutions. Queen Letizia, with her journalistic background, taught her daughter how crucial it is to listen to people's stories, to understand human needs, to respect every perspective. From their example, Leonor learned that being queen is not about representing perfection. It is about representing the people. So when she continued her speech, she did something rare. She acknowledged her future responsibilities not as destiny, but as commitment. She said that a monarch must earn the respect of the citizens, not inherit it. The audience reacted. Some held their breath. Some leaned forward. Some nodded deeply, because her words echoed a truth that is often left unspoken in royal settings. Leadership is not proclaimed, it is proven. And in that moment, King Felipe's eyes reflected a quiet pride, the kind a father feels when he sees his child surpass expectation. Queen Letizia's expression remained composed, but her gaze softened, as if replaying every sacrifice, every lesson, every difficult conversation that helped bring Leonor to this moment. But the speech did not stop there. Leonor brought attention to young people. She spoke about youth participation in decision-making, education reform, digital citizenship, and environmental responsibility. She spoke as one of them, not above them. She acknowledged the challenges they face, from employment concerns to mental health pressures, without offering empty promises. Instead, she offered collaboration. She said, "A future cannot be built for young people. It must be built with them." That sentence alone rewrote her image. She was not asking Spain to follow her. She was asking them to walk with her. Curiosity grows. How did she gain the confidence to speak with such maturity? The answer lies in her recent experiences. Her military training in Zaragoza, Vigo, and later in her naval stages did more than teach her discipline. It surrounded her with people who live ordinary lives. Military families, young cadets, instructors with decades of service. She lived early mornings, long exercises, tired meals, shared stories, and earned respect not through title, but through effort. These encounters taught her that the Spanish crown's strength depends on how well it understands the everyday citizen. And Leonor listened. That is why, in her speech, she emphasized listening before leading. She expressed admiration for Spain's diversity, not as a challenge to unity but as its biggest asset. She celebrated national languages and cultural identities as treasures, not obstacles. She didn't just speak to Spain, she spoke to every Spain within Spain. Then came the most unexpected part. Leonor turned, looked at her father, and publicly thanked King Felipe for his unwavering example of service. She acknowledged the sacrifices he made for stability during periods of tension and uncertainty. She called him a guide of duty. It wasn't dramatic. It was sincere. And sincerity carries power. After that, she turned toward Queen Letizia and thanked her for teaching her what it means to be human above all else. The room held its breath again. Royal speeches rarely express such personal emotion. Leonor took the risk. She showed vulnerability. And vulnerability, especially in leadership, builds trust. People often assume royal families are distant, perfect, untouchable. But Leonor broke that image. She showed that leadership begins at home. From her mother, she learned empathy. From her father, she learned duty. And from both, she learned responsibility. Her closing lines resonated through the hall and across the nation. She promised to dedicate her life to defending freedom, equality, and respect. She did not mention power. She did not mention authority. She mentioned values. Because values create longevity, power alone collapses. When she finished speaking, there was no immediate applause. Only a pause, heavy and meaningful. The kind that comes when people recognize authenticity. Then, slowly, applause grew into a standing ovation. Not for her title, not for the monarchy, for her message. King Felipe stood with the dignity of a father who knows that leadership is not passed like a crown, it is demonstrated. Queen Letizia stood with the quiet certainty that her daughter had entered a new chapter, one that goes beyond royal photographs and ceremonial appearances. Spain had seen Leonor before. But Spain met her on this day. As the applause echoed, cameras captured a subtle moment. Leonor stepped slightly behind her father and mother, not out of insecurity, but out of respect. She was not replacing them. She was beginning her journey with them. A royal duty, shared, not transferred. This gesture spoke louder than words. Leadership is not stepping forward first. Leadership is knowing when to step forward, and when to walk beside others. This is why her speech became historic. Not because of grandeur, but because of humility. Not because of authority, but because of service. Not because she is destined to be queen, but because she chooses to serve as one. The world often looks at monarchy and asks, what is its purpose today? Leonor answered by redefining it. Monarchs are not guardians of tradition, they are guardians of values. They are not rulers of people, they are caretakers of unity. They are not symbols of perfection, they are students of their nation. With her speech, Princess Leonor didn't just honor her family legacy. She modernized it. She didn't just inherit responsibility. She accepted it. And she didn't just speak to Spain. She listened to it. As she exited the stage, she carried more than applause. She carried expectation, trust, and hope. And beside her walked a king who knows his daughter will face challenges, and a queen who knows her daughter will listen through them. Together, they form a rare image in royal history. A monarchy not built on power, but on partnership. A future not awaiting a crown, but building a service. Princess Leonor's 2025 speech will be remembered not for what it announced, but for what it promised. A promise not to reign, but to serve. A promise not to emulate past monarchs, but to redefine what monarchy can be. A promise not to speak for Spain, but to listen to every voice within it. Spain did not witness a princess preparing for the throne. Spain witnessed a young woman preparing to serve her people. And through her words, through her humility, and through her commitment, Princess Leonor stepped into history. Not as a royal figurehead, but as a leader. Not someday. Now.